Yeah, and how does it different even from the example that you just gave and from Peggy Phelan, the way that she writes about it? She's the only person that I feel like academically I can cite for the language, and I need to cite for the language, but the way that I consume it is that it's about what who I am when I'm doing it. It's a performance of doing it. So, and this really, just to share a little bit more of vulnerability, I think this is related to my own probably ADHD. I've never been diagnosed with anything, but my own inability to sit still. It's very hard to initialize sitting down to work on something, um, especially if it just feels like a drag or it's going to be some boring ass academic writing. I could do it, but it's really like getting blood from a turnip, or it used to be, you know. I'm more conditioned to be able to just handle it now, but it's not my preferred language. My preferred language is doing something that I enjoy doing. I'm also a performer. I'm also a vocalist. I sing, you know? So I've dealt with stage fright for many, many, many years. Um, which might be slightly unrelated, but I have a bit of stage fright of writing. And many of us do. What do we call it? Imposter syndrome, right? Where the minute you write something, the minute it's written word, it's up for grabs to be torn to shreds. Whether the history's wrong, the date's wrong, you spelled this person's name wrong, you blah, 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 blah. I once read author Pearl Clegg, I think I read, I'm sure it was something I read. It was an interview that she did about a play that she had written, and I think it had to do with Ida B. Wells and a bunch of Black people who migrated from the South to the Midwest after the lynchings got really bad during Jim Crow. Um, she was kind of obsessed and fascinated with this part of history and knew she wanted to write something about it, but she's a fiction writer and she's like, I'm not a historian. I know the minute I start writing something that sounds anything like history, the historians are going to come for me because you're bound to get something wrong. You're bound to get a lot wrong. So she wasn't going to do this writing. And she said that she had a dream. She had a dream that Ida B. Wells's neighbor, she went to her house, to Ida's house, to knock on the door, and her neighbor was outside on the porch and said they left, they dipped. And she ends up creating this play around this character that came to her in the dream, right? Performance writing. It can be described as performance writing. That's what I'm citing to, contextualize what I do. It has become a better part of my routine and my wellness and my process when I know I'm sitting down to do performance writing, because I'm okay with whatever coming out being what it is. I'm okay with it being creative prose that I can play with. And even if it's factual in the form of art, I expect not to be fucked with about it. It's my art. Don't touch it. I'll let you know if something needs to be revised, or you talk to me if something needs to be revised. Um, it eases my anxiety, and I still end up taking forever on pieces and going back and editing and revising, or rereading and rereading and rereading, but the act of getting it out as performance writing just helps me get over a huge hurdle that it helped me learn to get over something that was a huge hurdle for me in school and writing and everything. So it and another person I want to cite, um Nazaki Shange, who is deceased now, may she rest in peace, but another literary scholar who wrote For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. um this is a secondhand citation, but my best friend told me that she saw an interview with Mizaki Shange, who said that when she would sit down to write, she would like put on her really nice lingerie and, like smell good and makeup and stuff and just really feel a part of that moment. And I don't exactly do that, but I do make it a thing. Like I make the environment a thing, and there's tea and snacks, and it's just me and my dog. But that's how the writing gets done.